Word on the street is, you got 9 lives. People are shook. You weren't supposed to make it this far. The odds stacked, the system rigged, the game designed to break you. But here you are, still breathing, still moving, still rising. That's no accident. That's no coincidence. Somewhere along the way, something intervened. The car crash that should have ended you, but didn't. The fight you weren't supposed to walk away from, but did. The illness doctors had no answers for, but you survived. The night you should have never woken up from, but you did. You felt it, didn't you? That shift, that pause in time, that moment where everything should have gone dark, but instead, the universe stepped in. You were supposed to be a memory, a name spoken in past tense, but instead you became a problem. Because those who survive the impossible, they don't just exist. They change everything, and people feel it. They whisper, they stare, they act like they don't see it, but they do. They know you move different. They know you see things before they happen. They know nothing, not odds, not rules, not even death, can keep you where you don't belong. Because you don't just survive, you defy. And those who defy, they rewrite the whole damn game. And now, all eyes are on you, because they want to know, how many more times can you escape? How many more ways can you win? How long before you break the system that was never meant to hold you? If you know, you know. Before you took your first breath, your name was already known, not by the world, not by history books, but by something older, something that don't speak in words but in bloodlines. You ever wonder why you move different? Why struggle hits but never holds you? Why you've been knocked down but never knocked out? It's because you weren't born randomly. You were placed, planted, like a seed in the darkest soil, destined to grow into something unstoppable. Your ancestors knew. They fought battles you don't remember, paid prices you never saw, left messages in your DNA, your instincts, your fire, your will. You carry their unfinished work, their resilience, their power. That's why you feel it, that pull, that tension, that knowing, that unshakable sense that you were meant for something more. And that's why the world reacts to you the way it does. Some people fear you. Some people try to break you. Some people pretend they don't see you. But deep down, they know. Because a force like yours, it don't go unnoticed. It don't stay small. It don't stay silent. You weren't just born, you were sent. And now, it's time to remember why. The street don't lie, it just speaks in riddles. And the word is, you weren't supposed to be here. They counted you out, wrote your name in past tense, spoke about you like you were already gone. But then, you got back up. You ever notice how people look at you a little too long? How they hesitate before saying your name? How some don't even want to stand too close? It's because they know what they saw, or at least what they thought they saw. You were finished, done, a memory. But somehow, someway, you walked back in the room. A crash that should have ended you, a bullet that missed by a fraction, a sickness that had no cure, a night that should have been your last. But here you are, unshaken, unexplained. You ever heard the stories? The ones about people who were declared dead, only to wake up days later? People whose bodies refuse to surrender, whose spirits won't stay down. People who defy every rule written in science, logic, and common sense. Maybe you have, or maybe you are one. They can't explain you. They can't categorize you. So they turn you into myth. Some call it luck. Some call it divine intervention. Some don't call it anything, because even speaking your name feels like tempting fate. But deep down, they all know the truth. You don't just survive. You return over and over. Through the fire, through the storms, through the moments designed to end you. And that makes you something different. Something this world ain't ready for. Because legends don't die. They just wake up. Again, and again, and again. And one day, the world will have to accept that you can't be stopped. You ever locked eyes with someone, just for a second, and knew? No words, no introductions, no explanations. Just a feeling. Like you've seen them before, but not in this lifetime. Like they understand something most people never will. Like they move through this world the same way you do. That's not coincidence. That's recognition, a silent network of those who aren't like the rest. It's been happening forever. Revolutionaries meeting by chance, strangers finishing each other's thoughts, survivors sensing each other in a crowded room. Some call it intuition, some call it energy, some call it fate. But the truth is simple. The chosen recognize the chosen. Because how could they not? They've walked the same storms, carried the same burdens, felt the same pull towards something greater. And when they cross paths, something shifts. You ever met someone and felt like you skipped the small talk? Like you were speaking in a language no one else could hear? That's because this network ain't built on words. It's built on frequency, a vibration that can't be faked, a connection that can't be explained. It's in the way you move, the way you recognize something familiar in a stranger's eyes. The world don't notice, but you do. You might not even realize you're a part of it. Not yet, but look around. Pay attention. Next time you feel that spark, that moment of unspoken understanding, know that you're not alone. You never were. You ever just know, before it happens, before the signs, before the proof. A feeling in your chest, a whisper in your mind, something telling you to move different. And when you listen, the road clears, the danger passes, the trap misses its mark. That's not luck, that's not paranoia, that's alignment. You vibrate different, operate on a frequency most people can't hear, see things before they unfold. Some call it a gut feeling, some call it intuition. But the truth? It's an ancient knowing, a built-in warning system for those who move with purpose. You ever switched lanes right before a crash? Walked out of a spot seconds before something went down? Cut off a connection with no proof, just a feeling, and later found out why? That's not accident. That's tuning in. Because when your spirit is locked in, it don't need permission to speak. It don't wait for logic. It don't wait for proof. It just knows. And the ones who ignore it, they learn the hard way. But you've felt it too many times to doubt it now. So don't second-guess it. Don't explain it away. Because when your energy shifts, when that feeling creeps up, it's not fear, it's forewarning. And the ones who listen, they survive. Some people blend in. You don't. Even when you try, even when you stay quiet, they still notice. Because you carry something different. It lingers in the way you move. It hums beneath your skin. It shifts the air before you even say a word. Maybe it's in your eyes, the way they hold too much for one lifetime. The way they see past what's being said, straight into the truth. Maybe it's on your skin, a birthmark that don't feel random, a scar that healed faster than it should have. Or maybe it's in your presence. How rooms shift when you walk in. How people sense you before you even speak. You ever wondered why strangers stare a little too long? Why people either gravitate toward you or back away without knowing why? It's because you were marked, not by accident, not by chance, but by design, like a barcode scanned by the universe, signaling, this one is different. This one was sent. This one is not like the rest. And the ones who know, they recognize it. They see the signs, the patterns, the energy that don't fit inside this world's blueprint. Some will try to explain you. Some will try to test you. Some will pretend they don't feel what they feel. But you've always known, because normal never fit right on you. Because ordinary was never part of your story. You weren't meant to stay small. You weren't meant to dim your light just to make others comfortable. They may not understand you. They may fear you. But the universe, it already marked you. And now, It's time to own that. Hello, chosen one. Look at your life. Now look at ours. Back at your life. Now back at ours. Sadly, you're not in the Obsidian Inner Order, but you could be. Picture this. Weekly group calls with 450 plus chosen ones, recorded and available anytime for your enlightenment. Our private Discord, it's not just active, it's alive, buzzing with ideas, breakthroughs, and that unstoppable chosen energy. Oh, and for you romantics out there, welcome to Chosen Singles, where soulmates meet under cosmic alignments, not cheap pickup lines. And if that's not enough, Star Chamber members unlock exclusive interviews with bona fide targeted individuals who've faced the darkest trials and survived to tell the tale. Plus, our video specials, too bold, too raw, too spicy for YouTube. This isn't just a community, it's a revolution of soul and spirit. Look at your DMs, now back at me. The link to join, it's in the description. Don't just swipe right on Destiny. Claim it. The Obsidian Inner Order. Smell like ascension, feel like magic, live like a chosen one. Reality bends for you. You've seen it, felt it, lived it. You think something, and suddenly doors open. You speak it, and somehow the universe rearranges itself. You decide, and what once seemed impossible shifts. That ain't luck. That ain't coincidence. That's understanding. See, most people move through life like reality is solid, fixed. You know better. Reality is fluid for those who know how to swim in its currents. And you don't just swim. You command the waves. Some call it manifestation. Some call it law of attraction. But the truth is, this ain't about belief. It's about alignment. You don't hope for things. You pull them in. You don't wish. You move. And the universe moves with you. You ever thought about someone, and suddenly they call? You ever needed something, and out of nowhere it shows up? You ever seen your thoughts turn into reality so many times that doubt became impossible? That's because you weren't waiting on the world. The world was waiting on you, waiting for you to decide, because the second you do, the second you lock in, the second you say, it's already mine, reality has no choice. It bends. It folds, it shifts, and suddenly, it's real. So what's stopping you now? Comment below. I'm the legend still living. If they wrote your ending, but you kept writing your story. Time moves different for you. You've felt it. Moments that stretched forever, seconds that held entire lifetimes. Other times, whole days disappeared in a blink. You ever been in danger and felt the world slow down, like everything moved? In frames, like your mind had already seen the next move before it happened? That wasn't adrenaline. That was time bending around you. Because for some, time ain't a straight line. It's a flexible force. And you've slipped through its cracks more times than you can count. Think back. The car accident that should have happened but didn't. The near miss where the world paused just long enough for you to move. The dream that felt like a warning, then played out exactly as you saw it. That's not random. That's you operating outside the limits most people never even question. You ever met someone and felt like you already knew them? You ever walked into a place and felt like you'd been there before? Deja vu, premonition, time loops. Whatever name they put on it, it all means the same thing. You're not just experiencing time. You're navigating it, moving through it in ways that don't make sense to the world. But the world ain't built for you. You move outside their rules, and those who do, they see what's coming before it even arrives. So next time time slows down, next time you feel the shift, don't ignore it. Because not everyone gets a preview of the future. But you've already seen it. Not everyone can carry what you carry, and you've felt it. The distance, the weight, the quiet moments where the world feels just a little too far away. Because when you're chosen, you walk alone, not because you want to, not because you don't love or connect, but because they don't see what you see. They move through life half awake. You move through it knowing, and that knowing, it separates you. Because when you can feel energy shift before it happens, when you understand things that haven't been said, when your very presence disrupts the norm, you don't just live in the world. You carry it, like a lighthouse standing tall while the storm rages below, guiding others while no one guides you. And that's the part they never tell you about being different. It's not just power, it's responsibility, to lead when no one else can, to stand when others fall, to hold wisdom that can't always be spoken, only understood. Some days you wonder what it would be like to be normal, to move without thinking, to exist without knowing. But deep down, you already know. You were never meant for that life. Because the ones who are sent here for something greater, they don't get to blend in, they don't get to disappear into the crowd, they carry the weight. And they walk forward anyway. They talk about you when you're not there. Whispers, stories, the kind that don't die, only grow. Because people like you. You don't just live, you leave a mark. Your name moves through streets like a riddle. Your presence shifts rooms before you even step inside. And the things you've done, they don't make sense to them. How you survived that, how you made it out, how you keep winning when everything should have taken you down. You ever noticed how the stories about you don't match reality? How people hear a version of you that don't even sound like you? That's because your existence alone challenges their understanding of what's possible. So they do what people always do when faced with the unexplained. They turn you into myth. Some say you're untouchable. Some say you got something watching over you. Some say you got more lives than a cat and more luck than the devil himself. And maybe they're right. Or maybe it was never about luck. Maybe it was always about you, the way you move, the way you think, the way you refuse to play by rules that were never built for you. Legends ain't made in one night. They're built over a lifetime of defiance. And you don't just exist. You make reality bend. That's why they tell stories about you. That's why your name never fades. Because some people live and get forgotten. But the ones who shift the world just by being in it, they become legend. You don't just see the world, you feel it. You move through life with an awareness most people don't even know exists. You read energy before words are spoken. You sense intentions before actions unfold. And sometimes, you see things before they even happen. You ever had a dream that wasn't just a dream? A vision so real it burned into your mind. And then, days, weeks, months later, it happened exactly as you saw it. That's not imagination. That's perception beyond the physical. Most people rely on sight, sound, logic. You know. Before they lie, before they move, before they even decide. You've already read them, because this world ain't just what we see. It's vibration, frequency, layers stacked on top of layers. And you navigate those layers like you were born to. Maybe you thought it was just instinct. Maybe you brushed it off as coincidence. But how many times does something have to happen before you stop doubting it? You knew the call was coming before the phone rang. You felt the shift in energy before the news dropped. You pulled away from someone before their mask even cracked. That's not luck. That's not paranoia. That's a gift, one that comes with its own weight. Because when you see through the illusion, when you hear what's unspoken, when you already know what's coming, it changes the way you move. You don't react, you anticipate, you don't guess, you just know. And the ones who know, they move different, because perception this sharp, this deep, it turns the whole game in your favor. This was never just about survival. It was never just about getting through, making it out, beating the odds. You signed up for something bigger, not with ink, not with words, but with your very existence. Before you even knew who you were, before you understood what made you different, you were already chosen. You don't move like everyone else because you're not here for the same reasons. You weren't built for mediocrity. You weren't placed here to blend in. You were sent to disrupt, to elevate, to shift. And that comes with a price. Because knowledge ain't free, awareness ain't light. And when you carry something powerful, you carry responsibility. To walk wisely, to move with intention, to use what's been given to you correctly. Because the gifts you have, the intuition, the resilience, the ability to bend reality itself, they weren't given to you for nothing. You feel it, don't you? That pull, that pressure, like something is watching, waiting, not to control you, but to see if you'll step up, because the ones who have the gift but don't use it, they fade. The ones who refuse to listen, they lose their way. But you've already seen too much, felt too much. You can't unsee the patterns. You can't ignore the signs. You're part of something bigger, a cosmic design, an ancient blueprint, a force that don't speak in words, only in signs. And every choice you make, every step you take, it echoes, ripples across time, across space, across dimensions you don't even have words for. The street talks, but you walk, knowing your steps are guided by something greater. Now the only question left is, are you ready to own it? Nothing you do happens in isolation. Every choice, every movement, every shift, you send ripples through reality. You ever noticed how when you change, everything around you reacts? When you level up, people start acting different. When you cut someone off, their life suddenly spirals. That's because you don't just exist in this world. You influence it. You carry a frequency that forces change, a presence that disrupts stagnation. When you walk into a room, energy shifts. When you decide something, the universe adjusts. That's why certain people either cling to you or fall away. That's why situations bend in your favor or explode under the pressure. Because those who carry this energy, they don't just live their own story. They shape everyone else's. You ever had someone tell you, "You changed my life"? You ever left a place and felt like you took the air with you? That's the echo effect. And the ones who can feel it, they know. That's why they watch you. That's why they mimic you. That's why they fear you. Because the ones who bend reality, they don't go unnoticed, and they don't get forgotten. You ever feel like something is pulling you forward, but you don't know where? Like every step you take is leading to something bigger than you can see. That's because your story ain't done. This path you're on, it started before you were born, long before you knew what you were, before you understood why you were different. And it won't end when you're gone. Because people like you, they don't just walk paths. They create them. You weren't meant to follow. You weren't built to repeat history. You were sent here to leave something behind. And the world, it already knows. That's why you can't rest. That's why you feel that urgency. That's why no matter how much you accomplish, it still feels like there's more. Because there is. And the moment you step into it fully, the moment you stop playing small, the moment you claim what's already yours, the path ahead, it opens, and everything that was waiting for you finally arrives. Word on the street is, you got 9 lives. People are shook. You weren't supposed to be here, not after what you've seen, not after what you've survived, not after the nights that should have swallowed you whole, but you're still standing. You slip through cracks meant to trap you. You walk away from moments designed to end you. You rise when everything says you shouldn't. And that makes people uneasy. Because survival like yours don't make sense. Because resilience like yours don't follow rules. So they watch, they whisper, they wonder. How do you keep making it out? How do you see through what others can't? How do you move like the universe itself clears a path for you? The truth? You don't just exist, you defy. And those who defy become legend. So tell me, have you felt it? The near misses, the gut feelings that saved you. The moments when time stretched, bent, or broke completely. Drop your story in the comments. Let them know you're one of the ones they can't explain. And if you know, you know. So say it loud. I wasn't supposed to be here, but here I am.